listening to the Author Inside You podcast, a weekly podcast designed to motivate you to finish writing a book, choose a publisher, and have your work build an audience. Keep listening if you're looking to get propelled into the next chapter of your life. And now, it's the Author Inside You podcast with your host, Leah and Matt Rafferty.
Hello and welcome to the Author Inside You podcast. I'm Matt Rafferty.
And I'm Leah Rafferty.
Joining us today is Jacqui Letran, author of Unleash Your Inner Superpowers and Destroy Fear and Self-Doubt. Jacqui is a multi-award-winning author, speaker, mindset mentor, and host of the soon-to-be-released podcast, Stop the Bullying Within. Jacqui teaches that success and happiness are achievable by all, regardless of current struggles and circumstances. Jacqui, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
Well, definitely. It'll be fun.
Great. Well, first off, congratulations on your awards as a writer. That has to be pretty fun to get an award. And then second
Most
off,
definitely.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the beginning of your journey as a writer?
Sure. So I published my first book in 2015, and I had absolutely no interest in being a writer. In fact, I always thought of myself as a pretty poor writer. English is my second language, and I have a lot of problems with grammars, both when I speak and when I write. And so the idea of becoming an author was never anywhere in my reality. But what I do is I do mindset mentoring, and with the first session, I would teach my clients these exact same things over and over and over again. And with each session I have, and each time I taught a new client, they would always say, "Can you write it down for me? Can you write it down for me? That was so good." And I'm like, no. I'm like, I had no idea what I said. These things are just coming out of me. Without a lot of pre-thought. These are so automatic for me. And again, I always thought of myself as a not so great writer. But after hearing that repeatedly, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And so I started the writing process. And the more I started writing, the more I realized, wow, this is really, really good stuff that can really help people. And I got really excited. And the more I wrote, the more came out. And next thing I knew, I had 2 books.
Great. And so what's a mindset mentor?
So what I do is help people to understand, how their mind works and how to take control of their thoughts and feelings and really rewrite. We as authors, we write books, but we as human beings are always writing our stories, and oftentimes we get trapped into a certain story, but we also have the power to rewrite our story to something much more powerful. And that's what I help people do, is really to understand that they have that power, they have that ability, and at any time they don't like what's happening in their world, they have the ability to rewrite their stories.
Wow, that seems pretty interesting, and it sounds like something that everyone could use.
Most definitely. I would have loved some of that, before I learned how to do it myself. I didn't even know it existed, that you had the power to do that. And that is really about, how you think and how you feel translate to the experiences that you have in life.
So did your book writing come because of your clients then? And so this is what made you think, well, if everyone keeps asking me to write it down, perhaps this could be useful to everyone?
Yes. And at first I was thinking, I'm just going to write a quick summary. and there's no quick summary on a how-to. So my intention was to write something quick and easy for people to refer back to. But as I start writing, I'm like, no, there's just so much good stuff that, if I'm going to spend some time writing, I might as well just keep going and keep writing the ideas down and see what come of it. And I'm like, okay, now I have a PDF. Okay, now I have an ebook. Okay, now I have a physical book.
Wow. And now you have 3 books.
And now I have 3 books.
And so are there more coming?
I'm going to take a pause for a little bit to focus on my podcast. But I think I'm going to give myself until March or April, and then I'll work on the 4th book.
Well, let's talk about your podcast. What is the podcast going to be about?
The podcast is called Stop the Bully Within. And one of the reasons why I started this podcast, or I'm starting this podcast, is because as I'm working with these clients, and I recognize a pattern, and regardless of why a person would come in to see me, whether it's to help them with weight loss or smoking cessation or relationship issues or depression, The one thing that all of my clients had in common was that they were a huge bully to themselves. Anytime they fail at something, they would just kick themselves even further. They would call themselves names, and they would allow that fear to hold them back. And once I recognized that pattern, I realized, you know what? I want to bring more awareness to this. I want people to understand how damaging their self-talk can be and how powerful their self-talk can be. And so the podcast, the whole idea with that is to reach a wider audience and really share that message.
Great. And that's coming out in January, correct?
It is, and I'm so excited. It's going to be awesome.
Great.
How did you end up finding a publisher, or what happened?
I actually self-published when I first started writing, and it was becoming pretty clear that it's a book. I looked into traditional publishing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no, there's no way I can do that. Having to do all the submissions, and it's just too much work.
Right.
And not only too much work too, the thing that held me back significantly was thinking about time to production. So I'm like, okay, so let's say magically I sent out 5 query and I was accepted by 1 immediately. And from the time they accept it until the time it get published, we're looking at anywhere from another 6 to 8 months or longer. Mm-hmm. And I definitely didn't want to wait. So I started learning about self-publishing, and that's the route I took.
A lot of people really seem to like CreateSpace. What was your experience like with them?
It's incredibly easy. The whole process from putting the whole file online and customer service and all of that, everything was incredibly easy. Now, there were a few times where I ordered proof of my books and it turned out perfect. And I would order my big shipment of, 100 books, and they come in and they all look terrible.
Oh.
Yes, the margin was off. The cover was the wrong shade of my pink. I would call CreateSpace up and just have a conversation with them. And within 2 to 3 days, I have a brand new shipment right there. And everything is perfect. And sometimes they would ask, for me to return the book. Sometimes they would ask for a couple copies just for quality control.
Sure.
But I've never, ever had issue with them when it comes to customer service. I think they're fantastic.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, great endorsement.
I have to say, I love your pink on your covers. I like your covers, and I personally love pink, and I love seeing the pink.
Thank you. It's fun for me.
So, how did you come up with the covers for the books?
I wrote 2 books at the same time, the 5 Simple Questions to Reclaim Your Happiness, and I would, but my damn mind won't let me. And they came out about the same time, and I was just looking at different pictures on, what are those sites, like Deposit Photos and stuff like that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with the image of a silhouette of a teen girl with a thought bubble coming out of her head that's all pink. And I'm like, I need to do something surrounding that, and that's how it came about.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so let's talk about, I guess we did not touch base about that. It's written, anyone can read your books, but they're aimed towards teenagers?
Yes. So my heart, my passion, my love is teenagers. For a couple reasons. One is because of my own troubled teen years and the lack of resources I had back then. And even today, if you were to go to a bookstore, if people even go into physical bookstores anymore, if you look at the teen section, the self-help section, there's hardly anything for them.
Right. Right.
Yeah, there's tons for adults. There are tons of books to help parents with younger children, but that teen year seems to be the missing year for a lot of people. And I happen to just absolutely love working with teens, and I figured, you know what? It's going to make the most impact in that arena. Yes, the content works for anybody who wants to take control of their thoughts and feelings, but I want teens to be able to have something for them that speaks to them a little bit more.
That would be wonderful, because this will help them as they grow older. Maybe by the time they're in their 20s, they have it all figured out with your help.
Well, hopefully not figure it all out, right? Because that's part of the adventure.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, yes, of course. But I mean... on
the right path.
On the right path, because there are, unfortunately, so many children with so many obstacles, at home or at school. And how do you deal with it, especially if you don't have anybody if you don't have a supportive family, and if you don't have the tools to help yourself. So congratulations once again, not only on your awards, your writing, your podcast, but also for helping others. Right. What a wonderful person.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that very much.
So, Jacqui, what are you doing to promote your book?
That's one area that I think a lot of us authors are not really good with. I don't do a whole lot of promotions. I'm going to be completely honest.
It's
But you know
difficult.
what? The thing that I do is I do use my social media, and lucky for me that I do have people contacting me and helping me to promote.
Great.
So in terms of like what I'm doing proactively, unfortunately not a whole lot, but the little that I do post on social media does work. And the other things I do is, be guests on different podcasts. That has helped tremendously too.
Great.
Oh, great.
Well, we had a author who works at a library, and she was telling us that one of the ideas she has is that libraries are always looking for speakers. And it seems like your book, if you ever wanted to speak at a library in a teen room, it sounds like this would be a nice venue for you.
Definitely. That is an area that I am approaching next year.
Oh, great.
This year, 2017, is almost over, and this year was just filled with so many different things with the books and with the business. And I got married, and I moved across the country.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
It was a very busy year, a beautiful year, but busy. So I have a lot planned for 2018.
Great.
And then with the social media, are you using Facebook or Instagram?
Those are my two go-to, Facebook and Instagram. I would say more Facebook than Instagram. The engagement I have on Facebook is much higher. And for me, it's just easier. It's just something that it's more natural to me. And I really, when I work in places that I have fun and enjoyment. If it feels like a chore, I'm not there.
Mm-hmm. It seems like Facebook would be good for you to find parents, and Instagram would be good to find teenagers, or Snapchat.
Yes, I've been told about Snapchat. I'm like, I'm not going there yet. That I don't know why it seems overwhelming to me right now.
Sure.
Right.
Do your clients know that you publish these books?
Yes, definitely. Even when I see the adult clients, I do recommend the books. So like if I have a consultation coming in and they ask me like, well, how can I learn more about your services, or what can I do to prepare for the first sessions? I would definitely recommend the books.
Idea. Oh,
Great.
Very good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's the content that I teach in every first session anyway, the Damn Mind book. And so if they want to start prepping themselves, that's a great start. If they don't want to prep, that's okay. We'll go over it anyway. And then there are a lot of clients of mine too that find me through the book. So however they find the book, after they read it, all my contact information is in the back. They would call me up and go, hey, so how do I become a client?
Wonderful.
Oh, great.
So,
And then do you see your clients face to face, or do you do some of those virtually?
I used to see my clients face to face, and then I moved to North Carolina recently, a year ago. And when I moved, I decided, you know what, I'm going to just try to bring my business online to see how it works. And it works beautifully. I don't feel like there's any change in terms of effectiveness or connections. And so now I get to work. Yeah, I get to work at home, and I get to see clients virtually. And my clients actually really enjoy that because they don't have to travel to see me. When I was in California, oftentimes a client would travel an hour plus to come see me because of traffic.
Oh.
So they would drive an hour plus to get there, hang out with me for the session for an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then drive an hour and a half to get home. And that's an all-day event.
Wow, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And frustrating in the traffic, too.
Yes. And now they can just, be wherever and just open up their laptop or even on their cell phone, and we have a session. So a lot of my clients actually see me during their lunch hour. They take an extended lunch.
Oh.
And then they go sit in their car and they have their sessions with me.
That's great. They can have privacy, still talk to you during the day, not spend any time in traffic. Yeah, that's great.
Right. The beauty of technology, right?
Right. Now, what about going back to when you were publishing it? Did you do all the editing, or did you have a friend help you edit, or did you hire someone?
Oh, gosh, I hired out. Like I said earlier, I've never thought myself as a good writer, and grammar for sure is a big thing for me. In my native language, we don't put S's to pluralize things, and we don't have past and present and future tense. It's all the same. And so I get trapped with those. My tenses are always off, and my polarization is always off. So my husband, thankfully, is an amazing wordsmith. So what I do is I write down the content I know, and then he goes and clean it up for me, and then I do have a pay editor to go through the third revision. In addition to having beta readers reading it and giving me feedback and catching some of those editorial mistakes.
Great. And how did you find the beta readers?
The first time I published my book, the beta readers mainly were friends of mine. I also reach out to parenting coaches. So one of the things I did for marketing and for beta readers was I looked online for parenting coach, and I just contact them cold, and I say, hey, this is what I do. This is what I'm doing. I would love for you to be a part of this. And back then in 2015, I guess with book launches, we did the mega giveaway, where at least for self-help books. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the parenting coaches would have, a link on my webpage to their freebie and stuff like that. Oh. By, having a landing page for them, a dedicated landing page for them where they can promote their own products. And so, we all want promotion. We all want marketing. And so here's a chance for them to reach my audience, reach my readers. And so they were more than happy to be a part of the launch team, beta read for me, and promote it on launch day.
Oh, that is great. Great idea. So do you have other ideas like that you might want to share with authors, like people who are thinking about writing a book right now might be listening to this?
Yes. If you're thinking about writing a book, do it. Don't let your limitations, don't let the stories that you're telling yourself hold you back. Because the story I used to tell myself is I'm a terrible writer. No one wants to read my work. And I've won 7 awards. So,
well, that's the thing. Yeah, you don't know until you try it.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's part of it too. That's part of the advice I'm giving is, there are people who can help you. So if you're not great at grammar like I am, you get an editor. There's different types of editorial work you can get. If you don't have, great ideas on graphic, you get a graphic designer for your cover. You get a marketer. There are teams that you can put together. And some of this, of course, will cost a lot of money. But like my street team, my beta readers didn't cost me anything but a lot of gratitude and a physical book to send them out as a thank you gift after. And, beta readers, I think, is essential. So if you're writing for the first time or even the second, third time, I think having beta readers who are truly there to give you feedback is instrumental. So I would advise, if you need to, go with friends and family, but friends and family tends to rally behind you and might not be as forthcoming. With the negative feedback that, for me, I find it incredibly helpful. Like this last book I launched, Unleash Your Inner Superpowers, I had 12 people on my launch team, and 4 of those were just like, hey, you did a great job. Well, that didn't help.
Right.
And the other 8 was like, oh my gosh, this particular chapter was fantastic. However, as a mother reading this, I was thinking this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, oh, how did I even miss that?
Sure.
And then another chapter, another person, I was talking about the inner superpower of your body and how you can move your body and engage in physical activities to increase your confidence. And she said, you know what? I have disabilities. I can't move my body the way that you suggested. So I felt so completely turned off from the book. I felt disconnected as I was reading it. And I'm like, I didn't even think about that, And so, of course, I have to re-edit it and made it more adaptive.
Oh, that is great. That's some great feedback.
So those beta readers can give you gold.
Right.
Yes.
But yeah, I see what you're saying about having family members and friends. Oh, you did a wonderful job. That's just great. Instead of being really honest with you. So good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And of course, on launch date, right? If you have a beta reader team who read your book, who's a part of it, they're going to be so excited to promote it.
Sure.
And so when I launched this last book, my goal was to make the #1 spot on Amazon in my category by 1 p.m. And I hit #1 in 2 categories by 11.
Wow.
Because I had a good launch team.
Great.
And then what else helped you get to #1 so quickly? How did you do that so quickly?
I think part of it is just knowing keywords, picking the right keywords for my book, and picking the right categories for my book I think is very critical. Picking categories that don't have a large amount of
entries, let's say.
Thank you. Yeah. When you don't have a lot of competition in a category, the chance of you hitting number one is a lot quicker, of course, but you don't want that to be the only criteria, because you don't want to be number one in an area nobody look for.
Oh, right. That's great advice.
So, Jacqui, how can our listeners reach you if they have any questions?
I love hearing from readers and listeners, so definitely feel free to reach out to me. The easiest way to get a hold of me is my website, JacquiLetran.com, and that is JacquiLetran.com. And on that page, I will have my podcast listed and all of the books, as well as the speaking engagements that I do and the one-on-one sessions.
How about purchasing any of your books? What's the easiest way to do that? Is that on the webpage also?
No, on Amazon actually is the easiest way. For ranking purposes, I don't sell any of my books on my page. I want everybody to go to Amazon and buy at Amazon, because my ranking, it stays high. I mean, like, ever since I launched in 2015 until now, my books has never went below the top 100 in my category ever.
Great.
Wow. And
that's because, I send everybody back to Amazon to buy my books.
Okay, so that's a tip again.
Sure. So explain to me the difference. If you had a link to Amazon on your webpage, it wouldn't help rank as high as if I just go to Amazon and search for your name and find the book?
If you went to Amazon and search for my name, or search for the category and find my book, and click on my link and buy the book, Amazon weight that a lot heavier than if it was a link.
Oh, very interesting. I didn't know that.
That's what I was told, and I think it does work, based on the sales that I see. So, because it's telling Amazon, okay, I'm here, I'm looking for teen depression, and I typed that in as a keyword, and there's 20 books, and I'm scrolling down, and I'm going down to the third book or the fourth book, clicking on that, reading the synopsis, liking it, and buying it. I mean, that says a lot more than someone sent out a link that says, here, buy this for me.
Right.
Oh,
very good.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of good tips. Thank you.
You are just like a gold mine.
Yeah, good.
Most definitely.
On our show notes, we will have all your contact information and how to purchase the book. Well, Jacqui, we really enjoyed speaking with you today. Thank you for all your tips.
Yeah, you were great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me on the show and for your time. It's wonderful.
Sure, and good luck with your podcast. We'll put a link to that in the show notes, too.
Oh, yes.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Author Inside You podcast with your host, Leah and Matt Rafferty.